What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This here is Legitical Response. We cover political news. We keep you up to date and keep you informed with everything that the government does. Now, we know that certain states have been on this crusade, if you will, to go after the oil and gas companies, the fossil fuel industry, if you will, with reckless disregard for what eliminating that industry will do to our society and do to our economy, will do to our country, will do to the world for that matter. They think that suing these companies into oblivion is going to change anything. Like they're so worried about this climate catastrophe that's coming that they can't see the actual damage that they're doing to our society. Check this out. Republican AGs ask Supreme Court to block climate change lawsuits brought by several states. Yes, and we've covered a lot of these in the past. We covered one from Maine. They're trying to sue gas stations, for goodness sakes, the oil and gas industry, for climate-related damage. It just makes absolutely no sense to me, but let's get into it. Republican attorneys general in 19 states have asked the U.S. Supreme Court to block several Democratic-led states from pursuing climate change lawsuits against the oil and gas industry in their own state courts. The unusual request comes as dozens of states and local governments have filed lawsuits alleging that fossil fuel companies deceive the public about the risks of their products contributing to climate change. The lawsuits claim billions of dollars of damage from such things as severe storms, wildfires, and rising sea levels. Now, I would put forth the idea that the oil and gas industry had no idea about climate change when they were invented, for goodness sakes. We had no idea that putting shit tons of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere was going to change our climate. And once this industry grew so big, it's basically, it buttresses our economy. It holds it up. That is one of the bulk drivers of our economy, and getting rid of it is going to destroy the economy. And I don't think these people understand that. But holding these companies responsible for severe storms and rising sea levels, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me that, hang on, how can you blame the oil and gas industry for this when we've had severe storms and rising sea levels since before the Industrial Revolution? Since before we knew that the climate was actually changing. Yeah, climate change isn't something new. The climate has been changing for thousands of years in this same direction. But these people want to come out all of a sudden and just try to blame it on the oil and gas industry when the entire world's population utilizes the products of the oil and gas industry on a daily basis. It runs our lives. It runs our economy. We would be, society would absolutely break down if it wasn't for the oil and gas industry and all the derivative products from the oil and gas industry, for goodness sakes, like the phone that I'm recording this video on, or the microphone that I'm talking into right now, this building that I'm in. There's just countless products and services, if you will, that we rely on for our day-to-day activities, our modern way of life. We need these products in these industries. And once again, suing these companies into oblivion is only reductive. It's not going to fix the climate. That's my whole point. You're not going to fix anything paying for damages from roads and all this. It's just outright ridiculous. But let's keep going. The Republican action specifically seeks to stop lawsuits brought by California, Connecticut, Minnesota, New Jersey, and Rhode Island, though lawsuits have been filed by other states, tribes, counties, and cities. The GOP attorneys contend only the federal government can regulate interstate gas emissions, and states have no power to apply their own laws to a global atmosphere that reaches well beyond their borders. And they are correct about that. They're basically suing these companies that serve well outside their states, well outside the United States. So basically, suing these companies is going to force the prices to go up, which would basically force the people of the world, anybody that buys these products from everywhere, is essentially going to be paying to fix roads and infrastructure and all this in these specific states. Now, that seems quite unfair to me. That seems quite communistic, in my opinion. And I don't like communists at all. They do not have the authority to dictate our national energy policy, Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall said in a statement Thursday announcing the 19-state lawsuit. If the Supreme Court lets them continue, California and its allies will imperil access to affordable energy for every American. Like I said, that's going to raise the cost of oil, gas, all the fossil fuels. It's going to make your gas prices go up. It's going to make your energy prices go up. Your electricity prices go up, which is in turn going to make everything else go up because groceries are delivered in trucks that use gas. These people are just insane that they don't think about these things before they do about these things, right? We're already experiencing a dollar crunch, if you will. It's already really hard for people to just purchase everyday items, to purchase their weekly groceries, to pay their electricity bills, to pay all their bills. And these people want to sue these companies to raise the price even more. That's all that's going to do. You're not going to fix climate change. That's what I don't get about all these damn lawsuits. They're not helping the situation. They're only hurting the situation. They're only making things worse. Blows my mind. The reckless abandon to society, if you will, to try to virtue signal about saving the damn climate. Why not throw some of that energy behind innovating our way out of climate change? How about subsidize the damn technology to clean up the carbon emissions instead of suing the companies that produce the carbon emissions? How about that? The California Attorney General's office on Friday denounced the Republican request to the Supreme Court as meritless and vowed to continue its case against oil and gas companies. I wonder why that is. Why is it meritless? They don't explain that. They never explain that. They just try to virtue signal, for God's sakes, as if that's an argument or something. Connecticut Attorney General William Tong derided it as pure partisan political theater, and Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison called the Republican effort absurd, noting the U.S. Supreme Court already has allowed the state's case to proceed in a Minnesota court. So, doesn't mean that the lawsuit makes any sense. It's not absurd at all. You're trying to assert your jurisdiction outside of your jurisdiction, for goodness sakes, outside of the United States, outside of your own specific state. So what do you mean meritless and absurd? Yeah, these people are ridiculous. Lawsuits generally start in district courts before working their way up to the U.S. Supreme Court on appeals, but the Constitution allows some cases to begin at the High Court when states are involved. The Supreme Court can refuse a request for original jurisdiction. The request from Republican attorneys general is highly unusual and more often employed in state disputes over water rights, not as an attempt to shut down lawsuits by other states, said Michael Girard, director of the Sabine Center for Climate Change Law at Columbia University in New York. States joining Alabama's request include Alaska, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Kansas, Iowa, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, New Hampshire, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, Utah, West Virginia, and Wyoming. The Supreme Court also could weigh in on climate change lawsuits through another means. Through another means, yeah. Through other means, you mean? Already pending before the High Court is a separate request by oil industry defendants to overturn a Hawaii Supreme Court decision that allowed a climate change lawsuit by Honolulu to move forward in state court. Yeah, I don't believe their absurd argument here, their meritless argument here. It has a lot of merit because this lawsuit affects a whole hell of a lot more than just their own states. It affects a whole hell of a lot more than just the United States. These oil and gas companies are international companies. Some of them are. So that would affect international communities, if you will. And once again, I draw this right back to the argument that what is this going to help with climate change? These people are so laser focused on fixing the climate that they don't seem to realize that this is very reductive. It's not going to fix the climate, for goodness sakes. You're just trying to sue these companies into oblivion. These people would love nothing more than to just destroy these companies, to just get rid of them. But you know what that means, and I've said it 1,000 times before, if we just turned off oil and gas tomorrow, society would quickly break down, millions of people would die, and we would no longer have our modern civilization, if you will. You wouldn't be able to go to the grocery store anymore because they don't have electricity. They can't keep and store food anymore. We would have to return back to tribal existence, going out and hunting for food. Do these people really want that? It sure seems like they do, because they are constantly pushing forward and pushing the boundaries of their climate religion to serve I'm not sure what. It's not going to help civilization. It's not even going to help fix the climate, for goodness sakes. Taking the oil and gas industry, sure, over hundreds of thousands of years, the climate will slowly return back to its natural state. But just turning off civilization, it's not going to change anything tomorrow or the next day. And however, I do believe, and I've said it 1,000 times before, I think we can innovate our way out of climate change. I think that we have the ability to push forward, push the boundaries of technology to get ourselves out of any damage we may be causing to the climate. Right? Like, we went to the moon, for goodness sakes. But I just wanted to throw this little update to a story that I've been covering for a while, just to get that update out there, just to let y'all know that what's going on with these stories. And I think I've rambled on for long enough, y'all. But I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. Do y'all think that these lawsuits help with climate change? Yeah, I don't think they do, but let me know what you think. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.